all people in this country and in the world. And it's a struggle that's very much alive right now. The sages tell us that Shabbat is a taste of the world to come, a chance to experience in whatever small way the world would be like when justice, love, and mutual care for one another fully reign. It is fitting then as we enter Shabbat to bathe ourselves in the living memory of one of the greats, of someone who devoted himself to bringing about a better world. As we recall the life and words of MLK tonight and over the coming days, may they serve as just the tonic we need to inspire and fortify our fragile hope in these tumultuous times. Rabbi Jim.
Yasher Koach to Julia, a beautiful introduction. I just wanted to mention again that last week was such a shock, and I had a good conversation with someone who's on the call today, and I really appreciated that they brought to me this, the fact that I was really visibly shaken last week, and I really was not, I don't think, fully in a Shabbat mode. And I just want to give ourselves a moment here to acknowledge sometimes that it's not so easy for us to make the transition from the day to day, from the craziness of our doom scrolling on our phones and worrying about the state of the world, and to get that foretaste, as Julia said. And so I just want to give us just give ourselves a moment just to sort of take a deep breath and let Shabbat come in a little bit into our lungs, into our souls, and recognize that one of the amazing things about Shabbat is it's that moment where we just say we've done what we can do for the week, and now we're gonna not do for a day. And we're going to be together, and we're going to take strength from one another, and we're going to just really rest and know that when Saturday night comes, we're going to be ready to go out there and continue the work of following the example of Martin Luther King and so many other people who have brought more justice to this world. So we'll start, I think, with Shalom Aleichem. Is that correct? Great. Do you want to put the words up on the screen? Okay, great. So Julia is going to put the words up on the screen, and that way everybody can follow along. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Orchem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Vihi Melech Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Vihi Melech Malchei Malachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem l'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malachei Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I'd like to invite a reader to read for us the second paragraph on the second page of the third page of the handout. I'd like to see Anne, are you able to unmute and read for us?
Are you talking about after participating?
Exactly.
After participating in the Civil Rights March in Selma, Alabama, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, one of this century's great religious figures and a close colleague of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, said, "It felt like my feet were praying." Prayer is not just the communication we have with God. It is also the work we do to make God's values real to the world. I think God listened to both kinds of prayer with equal joy.
Thank you, Anne. And let's see. Dee Dee, would you be willing to unmute and read for us the bottom of the 3rd page where it says human progress? You can press *6 to unmute. If you have the packet, you might not have the packet. Great. Okay. Oh, great.
Okay, I have the package, but I can't see the page number.
I know that was one mistake, but it's the 2nd page, 3rd page. After Shalom Aleichem, there's a page with some English on it, and it's the bottom paragraph.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Human progress comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals who are willing to be co-workers with God. And without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the insurgent and primitive forces of social stagnation and irrational emotionalism. We must help time, and we must realize that the time is always right to do right.
Thank you, Dee Dee. So may these words continue to inspire us throughout the service. And we turn to the next page. This is our truth. The one God calls forth being from nothingness and makes all things one.
Blessed is the Holy One of Israel, in whose oneness we are one.
But we are not yet one. In fact, our human race is broken into fragments, and we wait to be redeemed into a lasting unity.
Blessed is the time to come when all will at last recognize our oneness amongst diversity.
While hatred rules the earth, redemption will not come.
Let the day be near when love will rule this world.
Until people return from their exile from one another, redemption will not come.
Let all exile be ended, our exile from one another, exile of God's presence from our lives.
While we care only for ourselves, redemption will not come.
Let our hearts be moved by the suffering of others and dare what must be dared.
Ken Yeh Ratzon, let it be so.
Before we move on with our service, we'll be sprinkling in just a few words here and there about our personal justice heroes. And you all will also get an opportunity to pipe in and talk about the heroes that have been meaningful in your life. I want to say just a quick word about my mentor, Maria Varela. I met Maria as a college student and had the pleasure of working with her. She is an incredible woman. She helped with the voting rights campaigns in Mississippi in the early 1960s before moving back to her home in New Mexico to work in the Chicano freedom movement of registering voters, of maintaining property rights, and maintaining the health and well-being of huge populations of folks in rural New Mexico. When I think of Maria, I think of the qualities both of lament, of calling out in deep sorrow and sadness, and also balanced with that this profound hope and ability to keep moving forward. I want to bless all of us tonight with the ability to hold on to those two things, the ability to yell out when we need to yell out, and the ability to hold on tight to hope.
Thank you, Joey. I'd like to pass it to Rabbi Jim for L'chadodi.
All right, so I want to before I start, I just want to thank the Noble students, Rebecca, Gabby, and Ben. Thank you so much for joining us. we're so thrilled you were able to be here, and look forward to spending more time with you.
Thank you so much for having us. We're looking forward to joining again in the future.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. I think
thank you
that
so much.
this is going to become a reoccurring event with us and other Noel students. So thanks again.
Good. All right, so Lecha Dodi, here we go. Lecha Dodi. So let's go, my friend, towards the bride. We're gonna go meet Shabbos face to face. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Shabbat, Lecha ha Lecha Dodi, Lecha Alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, lekavila. Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha, hishmiyanu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, v'shemu tiferet v'likihila. Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, ha, lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, likat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekohor, Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, ha, 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 lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila. Hitoreri, kiva ori, Daberi, Tora Adonai, alai kigla, lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, ha, 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 lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila. And I invite you to rise as you are able for our final verse, as we welcome the Shabbat bride into our midst. If you have a door, I know Anne has a door, she can get up and open it. Maybe Joey has a door. I don't know if anyone else has a door. My door is open, but I'm going to look over there. Come on in, Shabbos. We want you now. Boi shalom, ater b'Allah. Gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, ha, 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 lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, ha, 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 lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila, ha, 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 lecha Dodi, likat kalai, alalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Kavila. All right.
Thank you, Rabbi Jim. And with With Lecha Dodi, we now have the Shabbat bride sitting here alongside us, and we turn to some words of Martin Luther King. And I wonder, Helene, would you be willing to unmute and read for us the page after Lecha Dodi, the bottom? Great.
Okay, yeah, I'll read it. Hold on. I refuse to accept the idea that the isness of man's present nature makes him morally incapable of reaching up for the eternal oughtness that forever confronts him. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the startless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that the unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education, culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, men other-centered can build up. I still believe that we shall overcome.
Thank you, Helene.
Okay.
So I also would like to take a moment to share with you all a social justice hero in my own life that I'm thinking of tonight. I'm thinking of a friend and mentor, Vicki Hangen, who's a Methodist minister on Martha's Vineyard, where I grew up. And she was in my life a little bit as a kid, but I really got to know her as an adult. She was my first Jewish learning partner. She's deeply involved with the synagogue here and does a lot of work on the island around food shortage and poverty, and really does a lot of work supporting the hospital staff here and is always busy taking care of others. And she's deeply devoted to her community, and she brings a lot of curiosity with her in all that she does. And she always has these shining eyes that are bright with hope and openness and warmth. And she cares about the world without abandon. What strikes me most about her in this moment, as I reflect on her, is how she doesn't beat herself up about how much she isn't doing. There's so many types of suffering in this world that we all probably wish we could change and wish we could end, and it can be pretty overwhelming. And I'm really inspired by the way that Vicki doesn't lose herself in that sense of all that she's not doing. And she doesn't give herself over completely anyways to the fear and the despair. And with each new injustice that she faces, she cries when she needs to and lets that sadness of the world move through her. And then she faces that same world clear-eyed and ready to throw her wisdom and care against it, to do what she can to bend the arc toward justice. So may she remind us all that often anger and fear can only bring us so far in this work. There is sadness too, and we need to honor that lonely place in our hearts so that we can truly access love, the most human thing, which is the real fuel for our fire. So I'm going to pass it to Joey in a second. And we are now about to say the Baruch Hu together. It's on the next page for anyone following along in the packet.
I was just talking along muted for minutes, which is my way. We're about to do the Baruch Hu, as Julia said. This is our transition to the evening service. It's also the call to prayer, a time where we all come together in the synagogue. There's something very funny about being in these boxes. It can feel like we're sitting, we're singing, and we're praying alone. And this gives us one chance to really imagine ourselves, all these boxes dissolving and all profoundly and truly being in one place together. So I'd like to invite you all to stand in body or spirit or both as we chant these words responsively. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. We can sit. We praise you, sovereign of time and space. You make day pass away and bring on the night. From burning sun to canopy of stars, your light is with us. Constellations spin through space, tracing patterns in the night. You pattern our lives with days and nights and seed time, harvest, and sacred seasons. You roll your light away from darkness and darkness from the light. As you order the stars, bring harmony and structure to our lives. We turn to you in praise, Eternal One, as darkness falls around us.
And I'd like to call on Mayim. Are you able to unmute and read for us the prayer for God's love on the next page?
With pleasure, thank you. Prayer for God's love by Rabbi Rami Shapiro. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we're too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. We're supported by hands that uplift us even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us even when we're too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mayim. And I'll read at the top of the next page, just before the Shema. We have a quote from Rabbi Maurice N. Eisendrath, who wrote, "For Judaism gave mankind its first civil rights program. It was expressed in the Shema, the watchword of the Jewish faith. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. As God is one, humankind is one, for each is created equally in the image of God." So I invite us to join now in our prayer of social justice. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. We can breathe in that oneness, feel ourselves connected to each other here tonight, and connected to everyone in the world right now, praying for justice in the world. And share one more quote from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who wrote, "One must repeat from time to time, the world was created for my sake. Never say, what do I care about this or that? Do your part to add something new, to bring forth something that is needed, and to leave the world a little better because you were here briefly. And so tonight, for our prayer for peace, we will sing Oseh Shalom shortly together. But I wanted to take the opportunity for us to hear some of MLK's famous I Have a Dream speech. And as I was reading it over, it really seemed fitting as a prayer for peace for this evening. And I wonder, Paula from Satter, would you be willing to unmute and read for us?
Okay. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. And Rabbi Jim, would you like to lead us in Oseh Shalom?
Yes. All right, everybody. Oseh Shalom Bimnoma. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. V'yako Yisrael. Ve'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yako Yisrael. 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 Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yako Yisrael.
As we kind of take in those last moments of peace of Oseh Shalom, I want to pose a question back to everyone here in our little boxes. Julia and I have shared just a word about the people in our lives who embody justice. I'd love if everyone could take a second to sit in their seats and close their eyes and think of the person in your life or in your world that embodies justice for you. When did you first encounter that person? What have they given into your life? What does their life and their example ask of you? Okay, you can open your eyes. I'd love to hear, if folks are willing to hear, I would love to hear about a few of your personal heroes, the folks that you're carrying in your heart right now. People should feel free to *9 or unmute or just jump in.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm Judy Bloom. I'm Marlene Bloom's daughter, and she's a resident at the Jack Satter House. And I would say, for certain, Hebrew Senior Life is a hero for the way they've cared for all of our loved ones throughout this and through all times. But truly, I think both my parents, Harold, who sadly we lost 7 years ago, but my mother, have been heroes to show us, just how to be kind to everyone, how to treat everyone as we'd want to be treated. And they've truly led by example. And I am the luckiest girl alive to have the parents that I have and have had.
Judy, would you share their names one more time?
Marlene and Harold Bloom.
Thank you so much for bringing Marlene and Harold into our space tonight.
Also, Marlene is here tonight.
Oh, Marlene, thanks for literally being here tonight.
Yeah.
Other heroes, other folks that people are wanting to honor and bring into our space. Yeah, Anne.
My rabbi in Portland, Oregon, Rabbi Ariel Stone, she's been in the forefront of the civil rights movement for years, has a picture of Martin Luther King and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, that march across I don't know if it was whatever bridge they went across. And she's been currently this last year down in front of the federal building in Portland, Oregon, supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, along with the African-American head of the Council of Churches. Was head of the Board of Rabbis. And she just is out there going Black Lives Matter. She's all done up in her fancy kippah and her talit. And, she's actively out there and has set an example for the whole congregation and the city of Portland and other places as well.
Thanks for sharing her. Could you say her name one more time? Ariel?
Rabbi Ariel Stone.
Rabbi Ariel Stone.
She's originally from Orlando, Florida.
She reminds me a little bit of my Rebbe, a Boston-based rabbi, Rabbi Victor, who also is always out there at any Black Lives Matter protest, any protest for a good cause. You'll find him davening. I take so much faith that there are people in our tradition who are holding up that example. I'd love to hear at least one more voice.
Anyone on the phone too who's feeling a little shy because you're on the phone, feel free to chime in.
I would like to honor my friend Joan Lichterman, bring her into this space. Activist par excellence, always out there, as was just described by other folks about other people, always out there. Sadly, she lost her battle with lung cancer not that long ago, but I realized things had gotten bad when she was no longer posting to Facebook about Black Lives Matter. I'm not on Facebook, but she was all the time. And I had to ask a friend who is up, could you please look at Joan's Facebook to see when's the last time she posted? And it was 2 weeks previous, so I knew things were not going in the right direction. But I had been in communication with her, and she felt hopeful. She felt hopeful when she saw all the protests, peaceful protests in the street, that things would get better. So I thought that was interesting for me when things looked just not good, that she felt hope. And also her other last cause was saving the elephants. She was completely involved. We learned afterwards about that also.
I love those people. Sorry, go on, Carol.
Her name was Joan Lichterman.
Joan Lichterman, thank you so much for bringing her in. I love those people who are so close to a cause. And while we might have waning hope, the people who are real experts and who are in the streets who are able to maintain that hope and that vision. may in the weeks and months and the fights that come, may we be blessed with that quality.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for bringing these heroes in. I feel after these weeks, I've personally felt drained and shaken, as Jim was saying. And one thing that's kept me going is asking about people's heroes. So I so appreciate you guys giving me a little bit more hope and strength this week. And I encourage you all to take that question and bring it to other people in your life. If we can remember these people, even more so the people who have passed, who are gone, who are no longer with us, if we can hold on to them, their energy and their fight, I think we're gonna make it. On a related note, we'll move on to a prayer for healing from coronavirus.
Great. Yes, and so I'd like to invite Carol Klein. Would you be willing to unmute again and read this prayer for all of us, on behalf of all of us? I'll share it on the screen in just a moment.
Okay, I was going to say if I could see it.
And I just want to say, I know that we all are suffering in our own ways and because of coronavirus, and just wanted to offer a chance for us to channel that into a prayer for healing for those who most need it.
Should I start?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Source of healing, cast the light of health and well-being on those who've been exposed to coronavirus, those who have contracted the disease, and those, God forbid, who contract the disease in the future. Bless them, protect them, and bring them speedily to full recovery. Bless all who are ill with healing of body, healing of soul, and healing of spirit. Baruch atah Adonai makor chaim. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of life.
Amen.
Amen.
Rabbi Jim.
Great. So at this point, we will I will invite everyone who is so moved to unmute themselves. The way that I generally do this for the Misha Berach. If you have someone that you would like to name who is in need of any kind of healing, whether they have contracted coronavirus or they have some other sort of illness, or they are just in dire straits right now, please unmute yourself, and I'll go around the Zoom room and invite you to share their names with us, and then we will sing the Misha Berach, and Julia will put the when it's so I don't see many people, so it'll be a quick one. So go ahead, Anne.
Charlie Rosenblum.
Sandy.
Ellen Zuniga, David Engel, Elaine Skolnick, Natalie Garnell, Yair and Rosemary Alroy.
Sydney.
Michael Gerstein, Kathy Mierzwa.
Thank you. Carol.
Lori Wasserman and Jerry Nadler.
Thank you. Dee Dee.
Sunny Spector.
Judy Bloom.
Pat Ryan, Marty Yogel, Carol and Jerry Nirenberg.
Shirley.
Laura Cantor, Paul Soucy, David Soucy, Richard Kazi, and Audrey Siegel.
Marlene. Okay. And and Julia and Joey, you're both good. Oh, Linda, I see Linda has raised her hand, but you need to unmute yourself, Linda, then we can hear you. You push star, there we go.
The Resnick and Javinsky families.
Thank you, Linda. Julia? Nobody? Okay, Joey, nobody? Okay. All right, so I will name Naftali Agito, will name Tamar Bat Miriam, my cousin, and my father, Jim Morgan. I'll ask Julia to put it up on the screen. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mekor Abiracha Liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Jim. So we are heading towards Aleinu, and Aleinu is a prayer that we say that speaks about a vision of what we want the world to be like. And before we do that, Joey and I are going to read together Judy Chicago's poem, A Vision for the Future. And she just articulates, Judy Chicago is an artist, was an artist in the 70s. And this is a different articulation of an imaginary world to come where that justice will be here. So I invite us all as we read to think about, just really envision that world for ourselves and for our communities. And then all that has divided us will merge.
And then compassion will be wedded to power.
And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind.
And then all people will be gentle.
And then all people will be strong.
And then no person will be subject to another's will.
And then all will be rich and free and varied.
And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many.
And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance.
And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old.
And then all will nourish the young.
And then all will cherish life's creatures.
And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth.
And then everyone will be called Eden once again.
Amen. And please rise for Aleinu if you're able, you can rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shapeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula le'yotzeh b'reshit, shelo asanu kegoy haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot hadama, shelo sam chalkeinu kachem, v'gar aleinu kechol hamonam. Anachnu kodrim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu notet shamayim ve'yoser haaretz u'moshech yekaro b'shamayim mimal u'shchinatu zo begov hemeromim Hu Eloheinu enod Emet Malkeinu Evezulato, Kakatu Betorato, Vedatayo Behoshavota, Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, Bashamayim Imah, Eretz Mitachenod, Enod. One more second to think of that perfected world we're moving through, we're fighting towards together. Enemar v'haya Adonai l'melech kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Ushamo Echad. You can be seated. We now move towards the mourner's Kaddish.
So as with the Mishaberach, I'll invite everyone who is remembering someone this week for a yard site, or if you are in mourning, you to unmute yourself, and I will call your name, and you can share the name of the person that you're remembering. I don't see anybody. Oh, Linda. Okay. So thank you, Linda. Please.
Simon Dubinsky.
Shirley.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Oh, please.
My beloved daughter-in-law's father passed away this morning.
Oh.
Is it too early to say Kaddish because he has not had a service yet?
Exactly. Technically, we don't say Kaddish for him, but since he was so beloved of you, why don't you share the name anyway, and we can switch up the comfort.
Okay, can I say his name?
Please do.
Yes. Paul Reuben.
We're not technically saying Kaddish for him, but we will hold him in our hearts and
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Sorry to hear of his loss. And I see Sarah also down at the bottom. Is this the person, Julia, who you thought maybe the name was not quite right? Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna mute you. The person who unmuted herself or himself. Would you please please identify yourself and then say the name of the person you're remembering?
Oh, my and I'm remembering my father, Kurt Barron.
Okay, what? Say it again, Mime. I wasn't looking in your direction.
Kurt Barron.
Thank you, Mime. All right, so there is one more person that unmuted herself, but okay, so I'll assume we'll just.
Barbara Slayton.
Barbara Slayton. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Whom are you remembering?
I want to remember my father, Alan Dawson.
Alan Dawson. Thank you, Barbara. Okay. All right. So I will. We will. Julia's going to put the text of the Kaddish. I invite anyone who shared a name to rise. Judy, you have somebody?
Nachman, my father, Nachman ben Yisroel HaKohen.
Okay, lovely, Judy. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll invite everyone to rise as they are able. And if it's your custom to rise to say Kaddish for those who have none to say Kaddish for them, I invite you also to rise. I invite you also to, I think what I'll do is I'll have Julia and Joey unmute themselves to respond appropriately to the Kaddish, and we will proceed. So Yitgadal v'Yitkadash Shemei Rabbi.
Amen.
Amen.
Yalmad Yivrach Yirutei Yamlich Malchutei V'chayechon Uv'mechon V'chayeh Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uv'izman Kachiv in Rami.
Amen.
Yeheshme Rabba, Yivarach Olam Omaya.
Yiparach V'yishtabach V'yipa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalav Shemei Dekudsha
Rechu.
Ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'miran v'alama v'rami.
Amen.
Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'rami.
Amen.
Amen.
Aseh shalom v'mamav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yeshet yedei v'rami.
Amen.
Amen.
We'll close out our time tonight with a final song. The words are "We Shall Overcome." It's a song that was popular and was sung in the March on Washington. It was a song that kept people going and inspired in the midst of violence and hardship and poverty. I invite you, Julia will scroll down to the lyrics in a second. We'll just do a verse or two of it, and I invite you to sing along. We shall overcome. Oh, we shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. Oh, we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. Oh, we'll walk hand in hand. Oh, we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
You're all welcome to unmute and wish each other Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Lovely to do this with you.
Joey for putting
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Julia, and everyone who read and sang.
So good to be here with you all. Wishing you all Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Good
shalom.
Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
And I wish everybody some peace of heart.
Thank you, Ellen.
Nice.
You good.
Thank you, Rabbi Jim. This was very wonderful.
Great. Well, you can only thank me to a certain extent. You can mainly only thank me for setting Julia and Joey loose on it. So
Thank you, Julia and Joey, who I've already told I so much love the way he sang a certain prayer because it was exactly sung how I learned to sing it a long time ago.
Wonderful.
I appreciated that. I really did.
I'm glad you enjoyed.
Yes, I sang right along with you.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Everybody. Have a good evening.
Shabbat shalom.
good to say hello with you before, Sylvia. And good Shabbos, Ellen and Sydney and everybody on the phone. So great to have you.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you again for a lovely service. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Good to meet you, Sydney. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Sydney, ask those questions again. Sydney should pose those questions again tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, feel free. Everyone is welcome to come tomorrow morning for our Torah discussion, and always reasonably interesting. Time it's boring, but most of the time it's pretty good.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Good night.
Great.